Imagine yourself on a cold autumn night in Chicago, where golden leaves dance in the wind and the city lights twinkle like earthly stars. It is in this setting that we find Olivia Hawthorne, a 35-year-old woman sitting in front of her laptop. The screen's glow illuminating her pensive face. Her fingers hover over the keyboard, hesitant, as if about to unleash an avalanche of consequences. Olivia was not an unhappy woman, at least not in the conventional sense. Married for 10 years to Michael, a successful executive, she had a comfortable life in the Chicago suburbs. They owned a spacious house, 2 cars in the garage, and took annual vacations at exclusive resorts. From the outside, her life seemed perfect, an embodiment of the American dream. But inside, Olivia felt an expanding void, a silent abyss growing within her chest. Their marriage, once passionate and full of promise, had settled into a monotonous routine. Michael spent more and more time at the office, buried in spreadsheets and conference calls. Dinner table conversations, once lively and intimate, had turned into awkward silences or superficial discussions about bills and social commitments. Olivia found herself yearning for something more, for a connection that would make her feel alive again. It was in this state of emotional vulnerability that Olivia stumbled upon an online forum for literature lovers. There, amidst passionate discussions about Hemingway and Austen, she met James. It started innocently, exchanged comments about a novel, then private messages debating the symbolism in a poem. But soon, the conversations became more personal, more intimate. James seemed to understand Olivia in a way Michael hadn't for years. Now sitting in front of her computer, Olivia faced a moral crossroads. James had suggested a meeting, something real beyond the virtual world they had built. Her heart pounded, a mix of excitement and guilt. She knew she was on the brink of something dangerous, something that could destroy everything she and Michael had built together. Take a deep breath and feel the weight of this decision. How would you react if you were in Olivia's place? Loneliness can be a treacherous companion, whispering promises of happiness into ears desperate for affection. As Olivia contemplated her next move, memories of her marriage with Michael flooded her mind. She recalled their wedding day, the gleam in his eyes when he said, "I do." She remembered the late-night conversations that stretched until dawn, the dreams they shared, the hardships they had overcome together, but those memories felt like they belonged to another life, to different people. With trembling fingers, Olivia began typing a response to James. The words flowed easily, charged with emotion and anticipation. She knew she was about to cross a line from which there would be no return. The cursor blinked, waiting for the final click that would send the message. In that moment, Olivia felt the weight of years of unacknowledged loneliness, of repressed desires and abandoned dreams. Have you ever felt this way, trapped between the comfort of the familiar and the temptation of the unknown? It is in moments like these that our choices define who we truly are. As Olivia hesitated, the sound of a key turning in the front door startled her. Michael was home, earlier than usual. In a swift, instinctive movement, she closed the laptop, her heart pounding. Guilt and adrenaline coursed through her veins, blending into a toxic cocktail of emotions. "Olivia, I'm home." Michael's voice echoed through the house, carrying a note of exhaustion, but also something else. Joy. Olivia took a deep breath, trying to steady her frayed nerves. She was about to respond when Michael stepped into the office, a tired but genuine smile on his face. "Hey, love," he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "I have a surprise for you." Olivia felt a wave of nausea. Did he know? Had he discovered her online conversations? But Michael's smile showed no sign of accusation or hurt. "I managed to take a week off," he continued, his eyes shining with excitement. "I thought we could finally take that trip to New York you've always wanted. Just the two of us, like old times. What do you think?" Olivia's world seemed to spin. Michael's offer was like a beacon of hope amid the storm of her conflicting emotions. She looked at the closed laptop, thinking of the unsent message to James, then back at her husband's expectant face. In that moment, Olivia found herself standing at a crossroads that would define not just her future, but also her very identity. The path ahead diverged. On one side, the thrill of the unknown with James. On the other, the chance to reconnect with the man she had once promised to share her life with. What will Olivia choose? How will this decision shape her future and, the lives of those around her? The consequences of her actions are about to unfold, leading our story down unexpected and emotionally charged paths. Olivia's decision in that crucial moment was like a silent earthquake, imperceptible to the outside world, yet devastating within her. With a forced smile that masked the turmoil in her chest, she accepted Michael's proposal for the trip to New York. Her words sounded strange even to her own ears, as if spoken by someone else. "Of course, love, that sounds wonderful." Guilt and excitement swirled in her stomach, creating a nauseating sensation she struggled to hide. In the days that followed, Olivia found herself trapped in an emotional limbo. Every affectionate gesture from Michael, every genuine attempt he made to reconnect, felt like a knife twisting in her heart. She watched as he made plans for the trip, his eyes gleaming with an enthusiasm she hadn't seen in years. It was as if the old Michael, the one she had fallen in love with, was re-emerging before her eyes. And yet, in moments of solitude, her thoughts inevitably drifted back to James and the message she had never sent. Olivia's internal conflict intensified with each passing hour. She found herself staring at her phone, wondering if James had sent another message, if he was waiting for her. The guilt consumed her, not just for the near betrayal, but also for the lie she was now living. Every smile for Michael, every good night, kiss, felt like a facade, a performance in a play she couldn't escape. Think for a moment. Have you ever felt torn between what your heart desires and what you know is right? It's like being adrift at sea, seeing two safe harbors but knowing you can only choose one. As the trip to New York approached, Olivia's anxiety grew. She knew this journey could be a turning point in her marriage, a chance to rediscover the love that seemed to have been lost in the years of routine and distance. But the shadow of James loomed over her, a constant temptation, a what if that echoed endlessly in her mind. One night, while Michael slept soundly beside her, Olivia gave in to temptation. With her heart racing and hands trembling, she picked up her phone and opened the messaging app. There was her last conversation with James, abruptly cut off days ago. She began to type, the words flowing like a dam finally breaking. "James, I'm sorry for the sudden silence. My life has been turned upside down these past few days. I don't know what I'm doing or what I feel. You awaken emotions in me that I thought had died long ago, but I'm scared. Scared of what this means, scared of what could happen. I'm about to take a trip with my husband and attempt to save something that may already be lost. Part of me wants to cancel everything and run to you, but another part is terrified of that idea. I'm torn, James. What should I do?" Olivia's finger hovered over the send button. In that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The ticking of the clock on the wall was deafening in the silence of the night. Michael's steady breathing beside her was a constant reminder of the life they had built together. Olivia closed her eyes, feeling the weight of her decision like a physical burden on her shoulders. Take a deep breath and put yourself in Olivia's place. Feel the weight of this decision, the power a single message can have in altering the course of multiple lives. With a swift, almost involuntary movement, Olivia pressed send. The message vanished from the screen, sent into the digital ether, carrying with it the confessions of her tormented heart. The instant she did it, a wave of panic crashed over her. What had she done? How could she take it back? The days that followed were torture for Olivia. Every notification on her phone made her heart leap, torn between fear and hope for a response from James. Meanwhile, preparations for the New York trip continued. Michael seemed more attentive than ever, surprising her with small gestures of affection she hadn't experienced in a long time. Each display of love was like a dagger of guilt in her chest. The night before the trip arrived, and there was still no response from James. Olivia oscillated between relief and disappointment. As she packed her bags, her hands trembled slightly, her mind a battlefield of conflicting emotions. Then her phone vibrated with a notification. A message from James. With her heart in her throat, Olivia opened it. "Olivia, your words touched my soul in a way I can't describe. I understand your confusion and your fear because I feel them too. What we have is special, something rare and precious. But I also know that what you have with your husband is a story of years, a life built together. I can't and won't ask you to throw that away. Go to New York. Give your marriage a chance. If after that you still feel that what we have is something you can't ignore, I'll be here. But don't destroy something real for a possibility. You deserve clarity and certainty. Find them on this trip." James's words hit Olivia like a punch to the stomach. She didn't know if she felt relieved or devastated. The maturity and understanding in his message only made things more difficult. Silent tears streamed down her face as she reread the message, trying to process her emotions. "Love, have you seen my charger?" Michael's voice pulled her back to reality. Quickly, she wiped her tears and hid the phone. "Are you okay?" Michael asked, noticing her red eyes. Olivia forced a smile. "Yes, just a little emotional about the trip." It wasn't entirely a lie. That night, lying beside Michael, Olivia felt as if she were standing on the edge of a cliff. The trip to New York was no longer just an attempt to reconnect with her husband. It had become a journey of self-discovery, a search for clarity amid the fog of her conflicted emotions. As sleep finally claimed her, Olivia couldn't help but wonder, what would New York reveal? Would her marriage find new life? Or would she discover that her heart had already set sail for new horizons? The answers awaited in the bustling streets and shining lights of the city that never sleeps, ready to unfold the next chapter of her life. The plane touched down at LaGuardia Airport on a typically autumnal New York morning. The sky was painted in shades of gray with a light drizzle falling over the city that never sleeps. For Olivia, this atmosphere perfectly mirrored the emotional storm raging inside her. As she followed Michael through the airport exit, her mind drifted between the tangible present and the ethereal possibilities she had left behind in Chicago. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in Olivia's place. Feel the weight of the choices left unmade, the scent of an unfamiliar city mixed with the familiar fragrance of your spouse. How would you handle this whirlwind of emotions? The yellow taxi weaved through the busy streets of Manhattan, taking the couple to a boutique hotel in the heart of the Upper East Side. Michael, as excited as a child on his first trip, pointed out the iconic skyscrapers and elegant storefronts. Olivia tried to share his enthusiasm, but every forced smile felt like a small betrayal, feeding the guilt that gnawed at her core. When they arrived at the hotel, they were welcomed by a discreet luxury that, under different circumstances, would have enchanted Olivia. The concierge led them to their room, an elegant space overlooking Central Park. Michael wrapped his arms around Olivia from behind, gazing out the window. "Isn't it incredible, love? Just the two of us in this magical city, it's like we're starting over." Michael's words struck Olivia like lightning. Starting over. Wasn't that what she wanted? Wasn't that why she had hesitated with James, why she had come on this trip? Then why did she feel like she was suffocating? "I'm going to take a quick shower," Olivia said, gently pulling away from Michael's embrace. In the bathroom, away from her husband's attentive eyes, she finally let the tears fall. The hot water from the shower mixed with her silent sobs, washing away some of her anguish, but not enough to lighten the weight on her heart. That night, the couple dined at a sophisticated restaurant overlooking the Manhattan skyline. The city lights twinkled like thousands of earthly stars, creating an almost magical atmosphere. Michael was radiant, his eyes glowing with a renewed love Olivia hadn't seen in years. He talked about plans for the next few days, about places he wanted to visit, experiences he wanted to share. Olivia tried to be present, to connect with the man sitting across from her, but part of her was still in Chicago, still with James. Then during dessert, the turning point came, unexpected and overwhelming, like a wave crashing onto the shore. Michael took Olivia's hand across the table, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her hold her breath. "Liv," he began, using the nickname he hadn't used in years. "I know things haven't been easy between us lately. I got lost in work and obligations, and I forgot what really matters, you. Us. This trip isn't just a vacation, it's my promise to you. To us. I want to renew our vows here in New York. Start over, with our feet on the ground but our heads in the stars like when we first met. What do you think?" Olivia's world stopped. The noise of the restaurant faded away, and all she could hear was the sound of her own heart pounding in her ears. Michael's proposal was everything she should want, everything she thought she wanted when she agreed to this trip. It was a chance to rekindle the flame, to rebuild what they had lost in years of mutual neglect. But as she looked into Michael's hopeful eyes, Olivia felt an abyss open in her chest. James's words echoed in her mind, blending with memories of her marriage and dreams of a different future. She stood at the edge of a precipice, knowing that her answer in this moment would define not just her future, but her very identity. "Michael, Her voice faltered, the words refusing to come out. How could she explain the storm inside her heart? How could she speak of James, of her doubts, of the paralyzing fear of making an irreversible mistake? At that moment, as if the universe wanted to add more chaos to her turmoil, Olivia's phone vibrated in her purse. A message from James. "I hope you're enjoying New York. I just wanted to say that, no matter what you decide, you deserve to be happy. Truly happy." Fate had a cruel sense of humor, Olivia thought. Here she was, on the verge of a life-altering decision, with her past and her possible future colliding in an instant of pure clarity and absolute confusion. Michael still held her hand, his eyes filled with love and expectation. James was thousands of miles away, yet his presence was tangible through that simple message, and Olivia, she was right there, at the epicenter of an emotional storm, about to make a choice that would define the rest of her life. Take a deep breath and feel the weight of this moment. The choices we make under the greatest pressure are the ones that truly define us. What should Olivia do? Accept Michael's proposal and commit to rebuilding their marriage? Or be honest about her doubts and possibly destroy everything they had built together? As the night settled over New York, Olivia found herself at a crossroads, each path leading to a drastically different future. The glow of the city lights seemed to mock her indecision, while time stretched infinitely in that crucial moment. The silence that followed Michael's proposal seemed to stretch into eternity. Olivia felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, each passing second like a giant hourglass pouring grains of sand over her. Finally, with a trembling voice and tear-filled eyes, she did something that surprised not only Michael, but also herself. "Michael," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. I can't accept. Not now. Not like this." The words poured out like a flood, heavy with emotions she had held back for so long. "There's something I need to tell you. Something that's been consuming me from the inside. And if we're really going to start over, it has to be with complete honesty. Imagine yourself in this crucial moment. Feel the tension in the air, thick like morning fog. How would you react if you were in Michael's place, watching your hopes for reconciliation crumble before your eyes?" Michael's face shifted through a whirlwind of emotions: confusion, hurt, fear. "Olivia, what's going on?" he asked, his voice a mixture of concern and apprehension. With her heart pounding furiously, Olivia began to tell him everything. She spoke of the loneliness she felt, of how their marriage had become a shadow of what it once was. She spoke about James, about their online conversations, about how she had come dangerously close to crossing a line from which there would be no return. Tears streamed freely down her face as she bared her soul, each word a stone removed from the wall she had built between them over the years. Michael listened in silence, his face a mask of pain and shock. When Olivia finished, he remained quiet for a long moment, his eyes fixed on a distant point beyond the restaurant window. The silence between them was deafening, filled only by the muffled hum of other diners unaware of the emotional storm unfolding at their table. Finally, Michael spoke, his voice raw with emotion. "Why now, Liv? Why tell me this now when I was trying to fix things?" Olivia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years of unspoken words. "Because if we're really going to try again, it has to be built on truth, all of it. I won't build a new beginning on lies and secrets." What followed was one of the most difficult and transformative conversations Olivia and Michael had ever had. There, in that New York restaurant, far from home and their comfort zones, they finally let their defenses down. Michael spoke of the pressure he felt at work, of how he felt inadequate and buried himself in long hours to prove his worth. Olivia shared her fears of losing her identity, of how she had felt invisible in her own marriage. Hours passed, the dessert long forgotten, cups of coffee left untouched and cold. Restaurant staff cast discreet glances at the couple, clearly engaged in an intense conversation, but respected their privacy. As the night wore on, something unexpected began to happen. Michael's initial anger gave way to deep understanding. Olivia's overwhelming guilt started to ease, replaced by a sense of relief and clarity. They weren't just talking. They were truly listening to each other, perhaps for the first time in years. "I never wanted to hurt you," Olivia said, her voice thick with emotion. "But I realize now that we've been hurting each other for a long time, just in silence." Michael nodded slowly, his eyes meeting hers. "I think we both lost ourselves along the way, but Liv, I still love you. That never changed. The question is, do you still love me?" The question hung between them, heavy with possibilities and fears. Olivia closed her eyes, searching her heart for the real answer. When she opened them again, there was a clarity she hadn't felt in a long time. "Yes," she said softly. "I love you, Michael, but love isn't enough. We need to relearn how to be partners, friends, confidants. We need to rebuild everything from the ground up." Michael reached across the table, intertwining his fingers with hers. "Then let's rebuild. Not with renewed vows or grand gestures, but with honesty, hard work, and real commitment. Day by day." In that moment, something shifted between them. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, nor a magical resolution to all their problems. It was the beginning of something new, something real and deeply honest. In the days that followed in New York, Olivia and Michael rediscovered each other. They walked through Central Park, talking for hours. They visited museums, not just observing the art, but sharing their interpretations, their dreams, their fears. They sat in cozy cafes, planning not just the future of their marriage, but also how they could support each other's individual aspirations. One afternoon, sitting on a bench overlooking the East River, Olivia gathered the courage to do something she knew needed to be done. She took out her phone and, with Michael by her side, sent one final message to James. "James, thank you for your understanding and for, without realizing it, helping me find clarity. My path is here with Michael. We are rebuilding with honesty and effort. I wish you all the happiness." As she pressed send, Olivia felt as if a chapter of her life was closing while another, more true and promising, was opening before her. Michael squeezed her hand gently. "Are you okay?" Olivia smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes for the first time in a long while. "Yes," she replied. "We're on the right path." As the sun set over the city, bathing the skyscrapers in golden hues, Olivia and Michael walked hand in hand back to their hotel. It wasn't an ending, they both realized. It was a new beginning, built on the foundation of honesty, mutual understanding, and a love they had rediscovered. The last day of their trip to New York dawned with a surprising clarity, as if the sky itself reflected the new perspective Olivia and Michael had gained. They had decided to spend this final day revisiting some of the places that had marked their honeymoon so many years ago. It was a journey not only through the city, but through time and their own emotions. Imagine yourself walking through the streets of Manhattan, the crisp autumn air brushing against your face, carrying the weight of memories and the lightness of new possibilities. How would you feel, reliving moments from the past with a renewed heart? Their first stop was the Empire State Building. As they rode the elevator up, Olivia remembered how, on their honeymoon, she had nervously clung to Michael's arm, afraid of heights. Now she held his hand not out of fear, but out of a newly forged connection. At the top, with the city stretching out below them in every direction, Michael turned to her. "Do you remember what I told you here, that first time?" he asked, his eyes gleaming with the memory. Olivia smiled, the past rushing back. "You said that no matter how high the mountain we had to climb in life, we would do it together." Michael nodded, his expression a mix of nostalgia and determination. "And look at us now. We climbed a mountain we didn't even know existed, didn't we?" The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. They had indeed overcome a challenge that had threatened to destroy everything they had built. And yet, here they were, stronger because of it. As the day went on, each place they visited brought a fresh wave of emotions and deep conversations. At the Metropolitan Museum of Art, standing before a Monet painting, they discussed how, like Impressionism, life doesn't always make sense up close. But when you take a step back, the whole picture becomes clear. In Central Park, sitting on the same bench where they had once shared their dreams a decade ago, they talked about the future. Their plans were no longer the grand, sometimes unrealistic dreams of newlyweds, but mature aspirations, tempered by reality and strengthened by their renewed commitment. "You know, Liv," Michael said, gazing at the lake before them, "I spent so much time over the last few years thinking about what we could have done differently, about the mistakes we made. But now I realize that every moment, every challenge brought us here, and here is exactly where we need to be." Olivia felt tears welling up, not of sadness, but of deep understanding and gratitude. "You're right. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it and use that knowledge to shape our future." It was in this moment, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, that the emotional climax of their journey reached its peak. Michael knelt before Olivia, not with a ring or a grand proposal, but with something far more precious. "Olivia," he began, his voice slightly unsteady, "I'm not asking to renew our vows or to pretend the last few years didn't happen. I'm asking for something harder, something real. I'm asking for a new commitment, not based on fairy tale promises or unrealistic expectations, but on a deep understanding of who we are now, with all our flaws and strengths. I'm asking that we continue this journey together, with open eyes and honest hearts. That we face every challenge, celebrate every victory, and grow together day by day. Will you take this commitment?" The world seemed to stand still in that instant. Olivia looked into Michael's eyes, seeing not just the man she had married, but the man he had become through their struggles and shared journey. She saw her own reflection in his gaze, a stronger, wiser, more complete Olivia. With her heart overflowing with emotion, Olivia answered, "Yes, Michael, I accept this commitment, with all my being, with all our history, and with all the hope for our future." They embraced right there, in the middle of Central Park, as the last light of day wrapped around them. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something far more powerful. A new beginning built on truth, mutual growth, and a love that had been tested and strengthened by the fire of adversity. As they walked back to their hotel, hand in hand and hearts aligned, Olivia reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The temptation of James, the lies, the near betrayal. It all felt so distant now. Not forgotten memories, but lessons, learned integral pieces of the tapestry of their relationship. This moment in Central Park wasn't the end of their story, but the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter filled with promises, challenges, and above all, a love deeper and more genuine than they had ever known. The flight back to Chicago felt like a bridge between two worlds, the past they had faced and redefined in New York, and the future now stretching before them, full of possibilities and challenges. Seated beside Michael on the plane, Olivia gazed out the window, watching the clouds drift by. Each mile traveled seemed to solidify the changes that had taken place within her, within them. Take a deep breath and put yourself in Olivia's shoes at this moment. Feel the weight of the decisions made, the anticipation of returning to daily life with a completely new perspective. How would you face the challenge of integrating such profound changes into everyday reality? As they landed in Chicago, the familiar air of their hometown carried a different tone. The streets, the houses, the familiar faces, all seemed the same, yet Olivia and Michael saw them through new eyes. The drive home was quiet, not the uncomfortable silence of before, but one filled with mutual understanding and anticipation. When they stepped inside, they were greeted by the familiar comfort of their home, but also by the reality of the changes they needed to implement. Michael looked at Olivia, a soft smile on his lips. "Well, I guess we have some work to do, don't we?" Olivia nodded, feeling a mix of determination and apprehension. "Yes, we do, but this time we'll do it together." In the days and weeks that followed, Olivia and Michael carefully wove the threads of their new reality. Their first task was to redecorate their bedroom, transforming it into a space that reflected their renewed commitment. Together, they chose new colors, rearranged furniture, and created an environment that symbolized their fresh start. One night, while organizing old photographs, Olivia found a picture of them from years ago, smiling, carefree. She showed it to Michael, her heart tightening with a mix of nostalgia and hope. "Look at us," she said softly. "So young, so full of dreams." Michael moved closer, looking over her shoulder. "You know, Liv, I think we're still those people. Only now our dreams are more mature, more real." His words resonated deeply within Olivia. She realized that their journey wasn't about reclaiming what had been lost, but about building something new and stronger on the foundation of their shared history. One of the most significant changes came in the way they communicated. They established a ritual of daily check-ins, moments dedicated not just to discussing the day's events, but to sharing their deeper thoughts and emotions. At first, it was uncomfortable, even painful at times, but as the weeks passed, it became the part of the day they both looked forward to the most. Olivia also faced the difficult but necessary task of completely closing the chapter with James. She blocked his contact and deleted all their old conversations, not as an act of denial, but as a conscious step toward the future she had chosen. Michael, in turn, made meaningful changes to his work routine, prioritizing quality time with Olivia over unnecessary late nights at the office. As the months went by, friends and family began to notice a change in the couple. There was a new light in their eyes, a connection that hadn't been there before. During a dinner with close friends, someone remarked that they looked like newlyweds again. Olivia and Michael exchanged a knowing glance, understanding that what they had now was far deeper than the initial passion of newlyweds. It was a love, forged through hardship, tempered by honesty, and strengthened by conscious daily choices. A year after their trip to New York, Olivia once again found herself in front of her laptop. But this time, she wasn't seeking escape or excitement. In online conversations, she was writing a blog she had started, sharing her journey from near infidelity to reconciliation. Her words, raw and vulnerable, touched many hearts, offering hope to other couples facing similar struggles. Michael, reading Olivia's posts, felt a mix of pride and humility. "You're helping so many people, Liv," he said one evening, wrapping his arms around her as she typed. "We turned our pain into something beautiful." Olivia turned to him, her eyes shining with grateful tears. "We did, Michael, together." As the second anniversary of their renewal in New York approached, Olivia and Michael planned a small, intimate ceremony. It wasn't a traditional vow renewal, but a celebration of the journey they had traveled and a commitment to the future they were building together. On the eve of the ceremony, as they walked hand in hand through the same park where they had once strolled in their early years of marriage, Olivia stopped and turned to Michael with a radiant smile. "You know, 2 years ago I thought our love was dying," she said, her voice soft yet steady. "Now I realize it was only transforming. evolving into something deeper and more real than I ever imagined possible. Michael squeezed her hand, his eyes reflecting the same love and understanding. And we'll keep evolving, Liv, together one day at a time. As the sun set over Chicago, bathing the park in golden hues, Olivia and Michael continued their walk, not lost or disconnected as they once had been, but united in a shared journey of love, growth, and continuous discovery. This was not a simple, happily ever after, but the realization that true love is a daily choice, an ongoing journey of mutual growth and commitment. Olivia and Michael had learned that real intimacy is born from honesty, that forgiveness is an act of courage, and that love, when nurtured with care and intention, can withstand even the greatest of trials. 5 years had passed since that fateful trip to New York. The Saturday morning sun filtered through the bedroom curtains, gently illuminating the space Olivia and Michael had transformed into a sanctuary of their renewed love. On the wall, a collage of photos told the story of their journey. Moments from their honeymoon, the picture of them in New York after their reconciliation, and countless new memories created in the years that followed. Imagine waking up on this morning, feeling the weight of the years gone by and the lightness of fulfilled promises. How would you see the world around you, knowing that each day had been a conscious choice of love and commitment? Olivia woke. First, her eyes tracing the serene features of Michael as he slept beside her. Every line on his face told a story of shared laughter, challenges overcome, and a love that had matured like fine wine. She smiled, remembering how she had almost thrown it all away for the illusion of passion online. Silently, she got up and walked to the window, watching the neighborhood come to life. Chicago had changed over the years, just as they had. New buildings dotted the skyline, symbols of progress and transformation. Olivia reflected on how her own life had evolved in ways she could never have predicted. Her blog, which had begun as a personal catharsis, had become a beacon of hope for couples in crisis. She now led workshops and counseling sessions, helping others navigate the turbulent waters of marriage and temptation. Michael, inspired by their journey, had made a career change, leaving behind the corporate grind to become a couples therapist, working side by side with Olivia. "Good morning, sunshine." Michael's sleepy voice interrupted her thoughts. He joined her by the window, wrapping her in a warm embrace. "What are you thinking about?" Olivia nestled into him, feeling the comforting familiarity of his touch. "I was thinking about how we got here, about all the choices that led us to this moment." Michael nodded, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. Every day was a choice, wasn't it? Choosing each other, choosing love, choosing honesty. "And we'll keep choosing," Olivia added, turning to face him. Her eyes shone with a mix of gratitude and determination. At that moment, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed down the hall. The bedroom door flew open, and a small, tousle-haired figure burst in, jumping onto the bed with a joyful squeal. "Mommy! Daddy! You promised we'd go to the park today." Olivia and Michael exchanged a look of love and amusement before joining their 4-year-old daughter on the bed. Sophia, born 2 years after their reconciliation, was the living embodiment of the new chapter they had started together. As they laughed and played together, Olivia felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This simple, precious domestic scene was something she had nearly lost. The temptation that had almost destroyed her marriage now felt like a distant nightmare, a lesson learned that had only made them stronger. Later that day, as they strolled through the park, Sophia ran ahead, her laughter ringing through the crisp autumn air. Michael squeezed Olivia's hand. "You know, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if things had gone differently in New York." Olivia stopped, looking into his eyes. "I think about that sometimes too. But then I look at our life now, at Sophia, at everything we've built, and I know we're exactly where we're meant to be." Michael smiled, that same smile that still made Olivia's heart skip a beat. "You're right. Every challenge, every obstacle brought us here, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be." They watched Sophia play on the swings, her laughter filling the air. Olivia rested her head on Michael's shoulder, feeling a deep sense of peace. She knew the future would bring challenges. Life always did. But now, they would face them together, grounded in love, trust, and mutual understanding. The sun shone, high in the sky, promising a day full of possibilities. For Olivia and Michael, every new day was an opportunity to reaffirm their commitment, to choose love once again, and to build an even brighter future together. As they walked home, hand in hand with Sophia between them, Olivia reflected on the journey that had led them here. The virtual betrayal that had almost become real had been the catalyst for a profound transformation. What could have been the end of their marriage had instead become the beginning of something far richer and more meaningful. Their story wasn't perfect, no real story is. But it was authentic, filled with lessons learned, forgiveness given, and love constantly renewed. And for Olivia and Michael, that was more than enough. It was everything. This story, virtual betrayal, when online flirting becomes real infidelity, reminds us that true love is not just a feeling but a series of daily choices. It shows that even in the darkest moments, redemption and renewal are always possible, as long as there is honesty, courage, and mutual commitment. Olivia and Michael's experiences serve as a powerful reminder that real relationships are complex, imperfect, and require constant effort. But that effort is worth it when it leads to a deeper, more authentic love. Dear listener, your journey with Olivia and Michael doesn't have to end here. Did their story touch your heart? Did it make you reflect on your own relationships? If so, don't keep those thoughts to yourself. Now it's your turn to participate and make your voice heard. Take a moment to reflect. Which part of the story resonated with you the most? Was it Olivia's internal struggle, Michael's determination to save their marriage, or the transformation they both experienced? I challenge you to share your perspective in the comments below. Your personal experience might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. Have you ever been through something similar? Do you have advice for couples facing similar challenges? Or perhaps this story awakened a memory or emotion you'd like to express. Remember, every comment is an opportunity for connection. Your story could be a beacon of hope for someone navigating stormy waters. Never underestimate the power of your words. They have the potential to change lives. So go ahead, click the comment box right now and share your thoughts. Be part of this community of people who believe in the power of love, honesty, and second chances. And don't forget, if this story moved you, help us spread this message of hope. Give it a like, share it with friends and family, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next heartfelt stories. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Share it with us now and be part of this journey of transformation.